and some other editors from Media 24. I think there were 6 of us, and last month we went to Rome and Milan to attend the 39th FIPP Magazine Congress. And we are just here to just give you some takeouts on what the summit, on what the Congress was all about. It's a very interesting thing because one of the things that we took out was that the world is moving digital. So are the magazines that we are supposed to move digital. And so today we are just going to do that presentation for you and just inform you on what we learned when we went to Rome. And there were 3 days as well from Rome that we went to Milan. And Milan, the fashion capital of the world, went to a company called Mondadori, where we spent some time with magazines such as Grazia and some other Italian magazines. One thing, though, that I can tell you is that the challenges that are facing us as South African magazines and as South African print media, they are not different from what the rest of the world is facing. Italy is facing the same challenges. They are also having challenges of circulation, advertisers running away, and retrenchments and all of that. So I'm going to just give some time to Lee-Anne. She's going to do the first part of the presentation and tell you about what we learned from Rome, and I'm also going to do the latter part, and then she's going to come back and give you some takeouts, just some general takeouts on what the FIPP Congress was all about. Over to you, Lee-Anne.
Okay, before I start, how many of you obviously know a lot of peeps here? Thanks, Thandi. Who's on ad sales? Okay. Editorial? Digital? Sorry, I'm just clipping here. No digital. Okay, well anyway, we have to start thinking digital. So you're all going to be digital. Okay. We all can remember a landscape that looked like this, with the magazines in the center and the universe around it. It's broken. Then we moved to a landscape where the brands became the core, and we built new brand platforms and renewed our properties. Now, our landscape has to look like this. The community in the middle, and our brands and brand platforms need to revolve around them. This, peeps, is how we need to operate in this new world. We're now in the platform business. Innovation and advertising are the ways we're going to make money. We're at a point of true convergence, where a point of engagement and a point of transaction are coming together to create a marketplace which is organizing itself around its communities. People are empowered like never before. Our community is now our new currency, but no reason to have a long face like a horse. We're ahead of the curve in why. They already trust us. We already know their passion points. We have permission to serve them content. We just need to decide how we're going to deliver that content to them. We need to change our DNA to that of a retailer. Merchandise, upsell, cross-sell, personalize, but remember to always act like a magazine. We need content to be alive, but we need content that is adaptive and personal. We need to have our hands on the throats of our brands. We as brands need a very clear perspective. It is necessary to have a deep understanding of our brand's value, priority, our products, our equity, in order for us to be in condition to help create relevant and constant content that will be interesting, trustworthy, and engaging for all their communities. In this convergent world, no person, no touch point exists in isolation. Gone are the days of silos. We need to think in terms of ecosystems. Everything is interdependent. It's not just about demographics, but also behavior. We have to rethink outputs, not just about reach and frequency. This is specific for ad people. Every action we take can potentially have an effect on everything else. There is a new relationship between brand and community. We need to be experts in content creation as well as experience and design. People's behavior is mutual with respect to the channels. We need to be offline and online. We need to be present both physically and digitally. Whatever we create must be liquid and linked. It must be able to move across platforms and link into a bigger idea. The ultimate goal being create personal, adaptable, measurable content platforms and activation solutions which are powered by advertisers. I'm going to take you through a few examples of how people are playing in this content game. When I refer to the 1-90-90 rule, that is specifically that only 1% of people are creating content. 9% are editing that content, but 90% are sharing that content. So it's very relevant. This is why it's important for us, because we are those creators. Okay, so the first one is brand utility. Nike, I would say, is probably the best example of this. It's all about creating something of specific value to their consumers. Again, Nike. Here they provide a technology platform or product that provides a specific utility. This is a technology product with content wrapped around it. You can ask questions, put up your hand. Okay. Branded entertainment. This is probably the most genuine content you get. Max Adventures, Unilever, are you all familiar with Paddle Pop, the ice lolly? Right. So in Turkey, you're not allowed to advertise to children. So they got around this by creating content. So they used the icon, the lion, which is a Paddle Pop guy, whatever, mascot. He's the Paddle Pop mascot. And here they created a series. It was so popular that they then created a movie, which became #1 in Turkey for 3 weeks. They made 1 million in profit. And what's interesting to us is now they've just licensed to start a magazine. So can you see it's going the other way around? So again, genuine content. Branded curation. This isn't new for us. It's aggregated content. Here, Pepsi, they actually created a youth culture barometer where they pulled in everything that's hot for youth. But there is, and obviously underlined by Pepsi content. The thing here that we have to watch out, I don't know if any of you saw trawling on Facebook, the Heineken problem. Did anyone see it? So basically they did a curated portal. But it's called, they scraped, so they put it in their program that they'll pull anything that has a Heineken logo. But what happened is in, I think it was Taiwan, it was Bangkok or somewhere, they were having a dogfight. And that bar was filled with Heineken branding. So now it looks like Heineken sponsored the dogfight. So we have to be very careful about how we program, and it's something that we do need to keep in mind.
Sorry, what do you mean by curation?
It's basically, well, we're still choosing what content we want to be pulled through. So we're still curating the content. The programs will put in. So if you want logos, if you want anything that's mentioning, so for instance, Pepsi, anything that was youth, for instance, that can pull through. So that sense of curation, but it's programmed curation. So clear it up. Cool. Brand facilitation. This basically is when a brand creates an opportunity for its community that they know they're really going to do. So a great example of this was Harley Davidson. They created the Hogs Owners Club. And this is that they were going to do it anyway. We know that Harley's drivers all meet, they have meetings, they do drive-outs, they share information, etc. So they were like, okay, well, we'll just create the portal and take all the credit for it. But we know their passion points. We know they're going to do it, but hey, let's take the credit for it. So when thinking about from an advertising point of view, this is the new game. This is where we have to think. And lastly, a brand movement. So I know that all of you are familiar with the Dove campaign. So this is when the mission is bigger than the idea. Basically, Dove's mission was to create better self-esteem. So it's not about Dove, the brand. So we're taking an unsexy kind of category and finding something that we have tapped in from an emotional level. Self-esteem is an issue, something that's relevant for their community. So this is what they created. So they've got things overseas where they've created like self-esteem camps. And I'm going to show you a brilliant example in my presentation of another brand movement, which for me is the best thing since sliced bread, actually. So the rule, from a rules point of view, it has to be shoppable, shareable, editable, actionable, measurable, portable, and searchable. So whenever we're thinking again to present concepts and stuff to advertisers, and even because we obviously talk to our editorial teams with ideas, we need to think about these rules, because this is how, it's kind of the new way of measuring. Okay. And if we do that, I like to say the ching ching will come. We'll get it right. We need to bring people and brands together, remembering community is at the center of the story. Our brand strategy has to boil down to these few things. Content quality. You need to create something where consumers feel an emotional connection. There needs to be flexible rules and flexible roles. Learn to love the lack of control. I know that's a crazy thing for everyone, but you need to learn it. We need to be international but local. And more importantly, we need to be available 24/7. We have to make sure that that person is coming to us and no one else. So we need to follow her eyeballs. Leila Pavoni, the CEO of Isobar, Italy, captures everything I've been saying with a video which Karate USA put together. This is a beautiful example of how a brand organized itself around its community, had the DNA of a retailer, so you'll see how they upsold, cross-sold, etc., but acted like a magazine when it came to content. So this is the way we should be thinking. So I don't care what you do with this, take a picture of it, use it as a screen grab, but this has to be your mantra for 2014, 15, 16 probably, or it will change by then. But we have to be bold, and we have to be awesome, and we have to be everywhere. Over to you, Thandi.
Okay. Okay, I think my one is going to be just very short and simple. And basically, I think you understand the main reason why the company would then spend a lot of money to take us. Should I put it on? Okay, I think I'll do this.
Very strict.
If possible, underneath, because I'm seeing the cable.
I can't do it underneath, otherwise you'll see what I'm wearing underneath.
No, just put the cable through.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is there a problem?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, as I was saying to you guys that I'm sure you are all wondering, we attend these editors forums, we attend these magazine summits, we go to Rome, others go to Brazil, India, and all of this. And in essence, at the end of it all, it's all about we have to make the company profitable. We have to make money. That's basically the main reason why you are sitting here. The companies bring you here. Woza every Wednesday, we come, we do these presentations. Sometimes are confusing and all of these things. At the crux of it, it's all about getting circulation. If you are working for any magazine, I work for Move Magazine, some work for Drum, others for Finweek and FHM, whatever magazine that you work for, your publication, it has to make money. It has to have circulation, because if it does not have that circulation and it's not making that money, none of us will be sitting here. Okay, so how bad do you want this situation? That's basically what I took out from Rome. How bad, what is it that you are prepared to do to be able to get this circulation and to be able to make this publication profitable? Basically, one of the things that I learned was that, they were not talking, we really understood that they are no longer talking about consumers, customers, and readers. They are now saying that the readers are centered around being branded as communities. So whatever that you do as a publication, whether you're working on a digital platform or whether you are doing anything, you must understand that you are serving a group of communities that are looking for your product. So community is the new content. Here we see a Femina case study of a publication that is doing so well. Basically, they started to think beyond circulation, and they started to think beyond just placing the magazine on the shelves. And some of the things that these guys are doing overseas, it's like things that we do. It's just that they sound so fabulous because they're doing them, in other countries. So here we are, we have a Femina where they are actually, they have reader events where the editor maybe would meet with 13,000 people, and then they make money out of those things, and they create sponsorships behind those things. So they are creating their content around communities. One of the things that I took out is that you have to allow the reader to own your brand. You must understand that when you are working for a publication, you are not working for a publication for yourself. So no matter how an article would be interesting to you, or how that type of content would be interesting to you, but at the end of the day, you are not the reader. You are not that community. You are just working for that platform. So let loose of your brand. Give it to the readers to dictate what is it that they want to read, what is it that they want to see, how they want to own that brand. So that is one of the things that I took out of the engage with your readers. Try to create platforms where you'll be able to engage with your readers. I think as Media 24 publications, we do that all the time. We engage with our readers via Twitter, Facebook, and all of that. Create platforms even beyond Twitter and Facebook where you'll be able to learn what is it that your reader want to know? What is it that they want to read about in the publication? Because circulation is tight, print media is not doing well. So you have to create other avenues of being able to find out what your readers are thinking. Lose yourself for a while. What have you done with the content that you have not published? What is it that you have done with that content? Have you just kept it maybe on a bank somewhere on your server? What is it that you've done? Maybe can you create a supplement out of it that you can sell, that you can tailor make and give it to your readers? Make readers comfortable in accessing your content. That's also some of the things. Here I've got 3 publications that I actually took out. These are 3 publications that in the midst of bad circulation in Italy, where publications were not selling at all, people were just becoming despondent. What they decided to do, this guy, he comes, his name is, his Cairo, the company is called Cairo Editor. It's a fairly new company. So the fact that, Finweek is existing, do not think that there's not going to be a competitor that is going to come and target Finweek or target Move Magazine and sell Move Magazine for 5 rands. So you must always be mindful, because this guy comes and he launches a publication in the midst of bad circulation, and what he does is that he promotes the publication heavily. When people are saying that print is bad, that publications are not doing well, now, people are now reading digital publications and all of that, and he says to them, no, yes, they might be reading digital publications, but there's still a gap in the market to launch a new title, and he sells that title for €1. You can just imagine, like, to a European person, like €1 is like 5 rands. Even though we know €1 is like equivalent to 13 rands, but it's very cheap. So he launches the publication to, in the midst of bad circulation, he launches these 3 titles, and he does a 360-degree penetration, whatever that means. 360-degree penetration on print, digital, and he does events. He promotes the magazine heavily. He gives the existing magazines that are sitting and crying and that are trying to digitalize everything, he gives them a run for their money, and he's trying to prove that, yes, there's still a space in print. Even though, people are so scared and frustrated, they are frustrated and they are tormented, think that the magazines are not selling. But if you're actually launching a publication in the midst of bad circulation and you give them a competitive price, you still tell the reader that even though the magazine is €1, I can still give you what that publication that is selling for €10, still give you the same content and still market the publication, and still so that you can still see the value of reading that publication. So he does that. He becomes the most successful. He takes circulation from existing publications while they are thinking that the readers are going digital. In actual fact, the readers are not going digital. He takes the readers and it becomes such a success. And for me, I think really he was one of the guys in that entire conference. Yes, he had, I could not understand exactly what he was saying because he was speaking in Italian. But I think I took some of these magazines. I found that this is actually a very good strategy. And so it means to us that we should not always be comfortable, like for movers and shakers, that there's a publication that is selling for R8.50 and we think that, oh no, Move is selling for R8.50. There could be someone somewhere, Caxton or Independent, that is trying to think of a publication that will sell for R2. What are we going to do when something like that happens? So you should always, what Lee-Anne is saying, that always center your content around your community and do not think, always innovate. Post Becker always says that innovate yourself like Madonna. Do not think that, other people are not able to do what you are doing. There's life beyond circulation and ad revenue. Okay, I think for us, we all know that, we have to drive this circulation. We get frustrated when magazines are not selling and when advertisers are running away. But basically, one of the things that I actually heard people, all of them saying that yes, there's circulation. We have to drive that circulation. We are getting paid to pay that, to actually drive that circulation. We have to get those adverts. But one of the things that I took out is that if you're working for a title, you have to understand the responsibility of bringing money to that title cannot entirely or solely be upon the advertising team. You have to create ways, you have to think of creative ways and innovative ways that are going to be able to make that publication to make money. And maybe it could not be just about placing an ad in the publication. So when I'm saying think there's life beyond circulation and ad revenue, here we saw companies like there was a company called Time Inc., like the editor-in-chief who presented, and she was talking about the fact that they saw a gap in the market, that they could brand editors as brand custodians of the titles, and they could actually create other revenue streams where people come to listen to, the editor host events, which we do as Move Magazine. It's just that, maybe some people do not know, like we do, and we make money out of those events. And where you could actually make money out of those events. So your mind should not always be about thinking that, oh my goodness, the advertisers are running away. What can we do so that they can place these ads? Think further than that. There's more money out there that we can still make. So the magazine industry has changed completely. Here we also saw an opportunity of people doing editorial supplements. They were showing us the supplements that they do and all of that, which I also believe that we do supplements all the time. It's just that, you have to think of better ways of how you can make that, how you can monetize that supplement, that it just does not become one of those nice to do things that can just remain on the stands. Branded videos, they also, I don't know how they did it, but there are magazines out there in America and in Italy and in other countries that are making money just by doing branded videos where they, so it means that the magazine is actually moving further than just typing and writing headlines, placing it and placing on the stands. They are looking for other ways. Like in our company, we know that we are looking for at e-commerce. We hope that e-commerce is going to be able to make money for us. We are looking at Mobi. We hope that Mobi is going to be generating money for us over and above circulation and ad revenue. New pricing bundles, combining brand extension with main magazine. We went to Mandatory where we saw, that this editor, she just does not wait for advertisers to just come and say, we are looking to just back the publication. What she does is that she thinks strategically. She takes a publication, she goes to Revlon and she says, place your product here and brand this product. And all she does is that she then works out a PR deal that extends from maybe January up to December, that is going to be able to make up for that. And because of that, she's able to drive the circulation. So all they were saying in essence, it's nothing new. I promise you, it's nothing new that we have not had. It's just that maybe some people have not had the opportunity of hearing. It's the same thing that we have always had, that think of better ways of creating money for your publication. Am I still making myself clear? You're all looking so bored. Okay. Digital innovation, continue to present challenges and innovation. Okay, we know that the company now, the magazines, the way that we've been doing business is no longer the same again. Now we have to move everything to digital platforms. They are saying that, and people are now trusting editors' blogs much more than trusting, the kind of information that they read in magazines. So it means that our jobs as editors, they've now improved. Like now we have to create blogs where that we are now voices of reason. Something that, never used to happen. Use social media to attract brand loyalty. Use mobile as channel to brand your business and make money. I think there's still a space for us, especially with us as titles that are, I'm not sure about others, but titles that are servicing emerging markets. I think for me, I don't know, I might be wrong, but I think there's space for us to be able to monetize those Mobi platforms. Like we could make money out of Mobi. We could, because the majority of South Africans, they are owning cell phones. So connect your readers via Facebook and Twitter, which we've always been doing. And in Italy, they are still putting their stamp of approval that we should do it. Use e-commerce to think like a retailer, but act like a magazine. I think we have publications like Sari. That is, where it's actually a very interesting thing that, people are now starting to look at Sari Magazine as a publication that is actually beyond, a magazine. They are now ordering stuff via Sari Magazine and stuff gets delivered. So it's e-commerce. I do know that Drum does it, True Love does it. I don't see a space and Move doing it, not now, not within the next 5 years. We don't know, maybe things could change. Create ads that talk to your community. One of the things that I took out, I think for some of you that have got teams that are reporting to you right now, is that build integrated editorial teams. I think the time for, in fact, it's not my thought, it's what people in Italy were saying, the time for just sitting and typing and fixing the is and the was and the headlines and the headers and teasers, that time is over. You are not going to just be employed because you can now write good articles. You need to, when we were told that we need to hire 21st century skilled journalists. What is a 21st century skilled journalist? If you're not going to be able to load a video on YouTube and you're not going to be able to write for the magazine and write for Facebook and write for Mobi and write for, for blogs and all of those things, then I'm sorry, in 3 years' time you might find yourself without a job. Because when we're saying that the world is moving digitally, that is what it means. If you're not going to be able to do that, if you're not, you must be able to multitask, you must be able to load content on YouTube. We need to be able to get those skills. It's just not about Quack Express and InDesign and, and filing that publication and job bags and all of that. The world is moving faster, and we have to move with the world, and the media is moving faster, and we have to, if you want to remain relevant, you have to, no matter how old you can become. And it just proves that, this thing of us saying that let's go out there and hire older people because then, they have longevity and they understand and all of that. I don't say a 60-year-old that is very good in subbing an article, being able to load, a video on YouTube. And I think this poses a challenge to all of us that are here right now, that Media 24 is also going digital. We have to actually, they are going digital, and the rest of the world is going digital, and we have to make sure that we move with what is moving. Do online interviews, understand the digital world. Integration is key. Here you have now your audience, which your audience is your readers, your communities, the people that you talk to. We now have, these are the platforms that people are looking at. Yes, I think for Move Magazine, we can sit and be comfortable and say that, people are not on digital platforms. But it does not necessarily mean because they are not on digital platforms now, they will not be on digital platforms in 5 years' time. People did not have cell phones 10 years ago. Now every Tom, Dick and Harry that stays in the township has got more than 5 cell phones. What does that mean? It means that it poses a challenge to us. So you have to center whatever that you do around your reader. I think for me and for everybody else that is here, what we need to take out of this presentation is that you are not the reader. Go where your readers are, engage your readers. Do not write what you think is suitable for you. Write what you think is suitable for the reader. Let your readers tell you, let them dictate the type of content that they want to read about. The big question that we're all facing now, we know very well that we made money and we're still making money out of print. I think for emerging markets, we're still making money out of print. We are so fortunate in that regard. But will the gains in digital media replace the losses in print? That is the big question that we are all asking. Will the money that we make on these mobile platforms that we're creating and all social media and these digital magazines and all of that, will they replace the money that we have lost in print? I think for now, no. But I think maybe in 5 years' time, yes. For now, they will not be able to replace the money, the losses that we have made in print. But in 5 years' time, they will be able to make money. And I think it poses a challenge to all of us here that understand what the digital world is all about. Do not just look at the magazine, it's just the magazine putting headers and putting headlines and placing it there. No, the world will be moving faster than you think. Solutions, digital revenue cannot replace print revenue for now. You have to find extra revenue streams. You have to look at opportunities where your publication is going to be creating money. You have to keep on reinventing and innovating your brand. Going back to the Koosbecker, with Mr. Koosbecker, he mentioned something that the reason why he loves Madonna is because every time when you look at Madonna, she's now 50-something, and she still looks young. She can compete with the Rihannas and the Beyoncés of this world. And even if Beyonce and Rihanna can disappear, they're still going to be someone else. She's still going to compete with those ones because she knows how to reinvent herself and to keep herself relevant. And the crux of the matter is that we have to innovate ourselves, reinvent. If something is not working, you keep on making sure that you try something else until that something else works. Is it clear? E-commerce and Mobi seem to be the likely choice. Yes, I think a Mobi for emerging markets, e-commerce for the glosses and for the glossy titles, I see that working very well. For us, in terms of like really a publication that sells for R8.50 and it competes with the price of bread and milk, really, how do you expect that a person will now go on e-commerce and buy a leather jacket, really now? Okay, that was supposed to be a joke, but in 5 years' time, e-commerce, readers could move to e-commerce. You can never know because the world is moving faster. Migrate readers to digital platforms. We have to migrate readers to digital platforms. It can be a slower process for now, but that is where the world is going. That is where the magazines are going. And I think personally, I refuse to believe, I remember when I was starting journalism, they came, internet came and people were saying print is going to die. And like people were so despondent and frustrated. Print will die and print will die. And print like 10 years later, and we were like thinking, are we still doing the right thing now by just starting, print journalism? And like many years later, like more than 10 years later, here we are, and print has not died. And people are saying digital, and people are like becoming scared, digital. Like really, come on. I do not think that there's a space for print to die. I still believe that people still prefer to read their publication because buying a magazine is more of escaping. You still prefer to, I think there's nothing that is as beautiful as sitting on top of your bed and flipping that magazine from page to page. And I still believe that there's a space for that. But at the same time, we need to reinvent ourselves and we need to keep ourselves relevant. We need to move to those digital platforms. Because the fact that print will not die, that one is settled. But we have to move to those digital platforms to grow our brands and to create revenue streams and to think beyond circulation and ad revenue and to understand that the world is moving fast and it's moving faster than we think. Okay, over to you, Lee-Anne. Any questions? No questions. Okay, you all look so like, yeah. Okay.
This question.
Okay. Yes.
Someone was told me that essentially, if you print magazine, especially the glossy types, if they can approve to 5 cents, they will survive.
Amen.
You know, like in terms of what you visual aspects, hearing, there was a sense of smell, like especially with the women titles, like all those kinds of elements, whether it's through advertising, where you put like pillows where people can smell, find a way of just getting those 5 cents integrated.
I think the biggest takeout is that print, yes, is going to become smaller. Content, that's our key. That's our revenue. So, and you have to remember, and it's one of my takeouts, that without content, digital is just metal and glass. So that's, as journalists, what you have to keep on thinking. Again, like I said, we just have to decide how we're going to get this content to the consumer, to our community. And I think that's the biggest question, that's the biggest thing that we're going to be playing about. So Thandi and I come out, I think we've summarized, our takeouts, we've summarized together, so I'm going to go through them. Publishing is far from dead, but changing. Digital first, but we need to be radical and aggressive. And exactly what I said, remember, without content, digital is just glass and metal. It's about organizations being lean and nimble. I think this is the biggest one. We went to Rome hoping for a silver bullet. We never found it. It's just about small transformations. We're going to use digital for growth, but print for profits. And just remember that there is a massive thirst for digital, thus there is that thirst for advertising. We have to tell stories and in as many ways as possible, repurpose and exploit. Content equals revenue. Content must be available 24/7. We have to be liquid and linked. And I'm going to keep on saying that's actually Coca-Cola's philosophy, and it's a brilliant thing. Again, we have to think of that bigger picture, and everything has to be connected to it. We need to set out to renew and reinvent. Thandi pushed that. Organize around the market. Follow the eyeballs. Follow the eyeballs. Guys, if the community is not there, then we're not going to do it. So you have to think about that when you come in with pitches, etc. We have to lead platform strategies with digital. So exactly like Max the Lion, they led it it went the other way around. So this is our environment we're living in. So they thought digital, they thought entertainment, movies, etc. And then came the magazine. We have to monetize communities. We have to invent the future. Empower organizations. And we have to choose to live the new frontier of media. Guys, you've got to get on that boat. If you're not on it, then you're going to sink. Talent is everything. I think an interesting thing that we actually came out about is a lot of these brands, are they tapping into the editorial pools, like to create like the P&Gs, like the Dove. There's probably an editorial person behind there from magazines. So it's a very scary time for us, I guess, as publishing teams, where we know brands are going to start looking at content producers. We have to accept the fact that you don't know where things are going. Fast entrepreneurship is needed. Quality and brand matters in the digital space. Develop an allergy to failure, but intervene fast. Experiment with new business models. What Thandi said, if it doesn't work, we change it. That's the beauty of this, is that actually that's the beauty of digital. So if it doesn't work, we take it off and we quickly replace it with something else. Two things make money: advertising and innovation. We need to protect the value of content. So we're going to start fighting with the whole thing about the protection of content online, because you hear me talking about scraping and aggregating content. How do we protect that from a rights point of view? So that's something that they are going to be working on. The biggest change has been done. We're just at a turning point now. Digital is an opportunity. Brands can and still be a point of reference. Digital is the modern way to meet the changing needs, but we need to be prompt. So those are our take-outs. Are there any questions? Yes.
You spoke about magazines getting leaner. Do you mean getting leaner in terms of content or in terms of HR?
When they refer to being, I guess, and Thandi, you can drop in, lean and nimble, I think it's back to what Thandi was pushing, is that we're not just, if you're going to just think that you're going to be a journalist who's going to produce for print, then it's the wrong headspace. You need to be producing for all the platforms. That's how that's how we're going to become lean and nimble. Yes, I mean, I don't know I can't talk on behalf of Media 24, but I guess that, again, we all know that we're taking on, as journalists, as advertising people, as publishing people, as business, we're taking on more and more things. I think that's what they mean about being lean and nimble. And also nimble being change. You have to have that allergy. So there's no set rules and set positions. So you might be a journo today just for the magazine. Tomorrow you might be heading up content, because it's content on YouTube and the digital space as well. So you have to be open to that. I think that's what the crux of it is. And I think I'm just going to say one other thing. I think we're very lucky. I know I went to Rome. I don't know what I was expecting. I was expecting that silver bullet, which never came. But something that was really reassuring is that we're very privileged to be, and you should get this on camera, is that we're very privileged to be working for Media 24. We're ahead of the curve. You don't understand how far ahead. Like, we sat there and we're like, oh yeah, okay, supplements. We do supplements all the time. Aggregated content. We do it all the time. It was so eye-opening to experience that feeling, going like, oh my God, like they're so far behind us. I mean, we listened to, again, we went to another publishing house where they're only starting digital platforms now. We've been thinking digital for years. So yes, of course, the emerging brands, it's a little bit slow, but it's in line with what's happening with their community. And as the community grows and as they get more access to digital, so will Move brand. I mean, that's exactly, and again, that's where Thandi will be focusing on making sure that we as a brand are following that community. So if we know that there's a new trend, we will follow that. And we will start developing something that will be in line with their passion points, I guess. I think that's what's important. Yeah. Yes.
I want to raise a question that both of you mentioned about, we're going to a digital space now, the idea of being liquid and linked. So even if we had to move completely to digital spaces, I don't think, maybe I'm wrong, that magazine is at a threat, because ultimately you're still getting that information drive, you've still got your audience who are still going to be reading your content, maybe not a hard copy, but they'll go online, they can subscribe, there's different ways. So everyone is really concerned about this print dying, but I don't think it's print so much. Maybe it's the idea that magazines could be dying. I don't think that's possible.
I think we have to get out of the headspace. Again, it's having that magazine in the middle. It's a brand in the middle. We should not care how they're interacting with the brand, as long as they're interacting, whether it is an event, whether it is mobile, whether it is online, whether it is Facebook. As long as they're interacting, that's what keeps our brand alive. So I think that's a headspace that we have to now get into. And I think, does that answer your question? And from a revenue point of view, they're also going on that digital is, again, digital for growth, print right now for revenue. It's still like that. It will do that flip. And what will happen is that print will ultimately become collectible. So all your brand ideas, etc., will lead with digital, but then you'll be like, okay, now to get the collectible coffee book. Then you would, so do you understand what I'm saying? So it's just it's going to do a little bit of a spin. But it's exciting, and it's a new frontier, and it's not a matter of becoming digital. We are there, guys, and you have to get on board. I think that's the thing I need to push.
I think there's still a space for magazines to live
Of course.
Personally, I do not think, this thing that, these magazines are dying and all of that. I do not think that is far from the truth.
Magazines have been dying for
They've been
years,
dying for years, and yet
just
they're
so you
still
know.
living.
Yeah.
I think there's still space. We had the magazine summit that we attended last week in Cape Town. We had a situation of a lady that was presenting about women's health, and the other one was, I think, was a top gear. Top something, and they were telling us about how they're surviving in America, and in the midst of people saying that the magazines are dying. I think for me, I look at, especially for emerging markets, I think there's nothing that can ever replace the beauty of reading the magazine. There's nothing at all that can ever replace. Yes, we'll lose readers there and there, here and there, but
we'll gain an audience. I think that's what you have to keep remembering. We might lose in readers, but we'll gain an audience from all the exciting opportunities that are arising around us.
I think as well, you know what, with my experience of editing Move magazine, I saw readers going away, like 30,000 readers leaving the publication, disappearing without trace, and we were all frustrated. And we had to sit and go back to the drawing board and ask, where have they gone to? And we realized that it was nothing else but the power of focus and the power of differentiating your brand and understanding that your brand is completely different from other brands. So, because I think that is the mistake that we do as editors. We tend to spend more time focusing on what other brands are doing or other competitors are doing and all of that. Yet you should be focusing on your brand, focusing on what makes that reader to pick up that brand. What is it that the reader wants to read? There is no way that we can try to create a glossy out of a title of a reader that knows that she wants to read about Stockfell and gossip and gospel and no matter how much. This morning we were talking about the fact that I'm tired of this gospel thing. Really, it's too much. And the journalist was saying to me, but Thandi, this is what the readers want to read. They want to read gospel, they want to read about pastors. And they will not read that in any other publication except Move. So focus on what makes your publication work and edit the publication with the understanding that you're editing it for the reader, you're not editing it for yourself. So we lost 30,000 readers because we were trying to help the readers understand that on Friday they can go and eat cocktails. And we're trying to help the readers understand that they must go to Sentin and shop better and look good. And when we did that, we were trying to improve their lives and move to, and saying that, they need to be, they are aspirational, but at some point they need to arrive where they aspire to go. And we were thinking, let's just arrive for them. And we lost 30,000 readers. I promise you, the readers were gone. We had to go to a magazine review in Cape Town. And when the readers were gone, we had to sit back and say, but guys, we lost readers because we thought what is good for us is also good for the readers. So we decided, let us give them what they want. And when we gave them what they want in numbers, the readers are back. And now we do not know if, really, it's all about content, it's all about focus, it's all about... So for me, specifically, especially for image, I do see titles like Drum, Move, TV Plus, Hit, even True Love and Break. I do see that there's still a space for growth for those titles. There's still a lot of space for growth because magazines are something that are fairly new to us as black people. We never had magazines 10 years ago that were speaking to us, that were telling us that we can be black and beautiful and put that makeup without feeling guilty. And there's no space to actually create a publication right now for black readers other than this. So I still see a lot of growth, but the only thing is focus.
Again, that passion points. Remember passion points, exactly what you're talking about. And also, at the summit now in Cape Town, one of the things is remember, we might become bored of something, but it's just as we becoming bored that our readers or communities have just caught on to it. So you must always remember that. I think that's a very important fact that's we must hold on to.
Yeah, I just want to make a few comments. There's this thing what you call community journalism, which I believe that oversees this whole and also encouraging that you engage your readers by getting them right to you. I mean,
Reader generated.
Yes, you've got what you call readers online magazine, which I feel that it's one strategy of making sure that you keep your readers engaged in your publication.
Sure.
And also one thing about revenue as well, I'm not sure that in terms of subscriptions, because I think also it's one other thing that you just go through and see how many people subscribe to the magazine, that kind of thing. What I'm saying is that it's not dying. Print media is not dying, but we need to grow, as you say. I mean, you guys, we need to grow digital, but print media is also there. I mean, if you check your subscriptions, if you engage your readers, it will still be there. Just
That is so true. I think for subscriptions, I think for all of us as magazines and newspapers, the biggest challenge that is facing us for subscription is the post office, which is like it's the post office. There are still those readers that, but the post office is delivering the magazines very late.
Sure.
But I think if I answer what you are saying, that one of the biggest mistakes that we did, I'm sorry that I talk about my brand, but I think it is also necessary because people always think that because the magazine is cheap, that is why the people are buying it. We lost 30,000 readers. Yes, we were selling for 7 rands. So this thing is not sitting on the price. There's no direct relationship between the price and the reader. Readers will still go. You can still sell your publication for 20 rands, but if it's got great content, it will still sell. So we lost 30,000 readers. Drama was selling for 16 rand. They were whipping our asses like there was nothing. And the readers were buying Drama magazine at that time. And we were selling for 7 rand. They were selling for 16 rand. And yet they had readers at that time. And the challenge that we had was that it was content and content. So I'm trying to say here, I think both of us are trying to say that let us put our focus on content, whether we're thinking digitally, whether we're thinking mobile or whatever, but everything is centered around content and around the reader.
Wavison?
I just wanted to hear what you take on content aggregation. Like, for example, there's new apps coming, like My Edit, as well as 24.com is launched another app as well. Let's say take the reader like me. I read like City Press on a Sunday, and I read FIPP, and then I read like Men's Health. And then when it comes to those content aggregation, I can easily tell them what kind of content I want, and then they're gonna save it to me. Then I'm not gonna go pick up the City Press or FIPP or Men's Health. I'm just gonna get all my news delivered to me the way I want them. So how do you allay those fears?
Well,
There is a genuine concern.
I know. The bottom line is My Edit is where we're heading. We as consumers edit content all the time. I choose to get my gossip fix from Heat. I choose to get my fashion from Marie Claire. So I still am choosing content, but My Edit's just making it easy. And I don't think we must see it as a negative thing. It's the bottom line is we know that our communities want it. We need to be there. I think that they have found some very good revenue ways to do it. So yes, you will get it, but you're still going to pay for the extra content. The bottom line is, Webberton, that you're still going to get served that men's health content, by you going, because you have to go into My Edit. How many of you are you on My Edit? How many? Hands? Okay. I think guys must all try and get onto it so you can really experience it. So you choose what interests you, and then it serves you content. If you want more content, there's a payment gate. You have to pay. So that is a way of us still getting revenue by meeting the demands of what's happening in the greatest scheme of things.
Counted as a City Press reader or Men's Health reader when I'm being served content
We can-
from them.
My Edit reader.
But I think
No, but you still are. You still want. You have to. This is where the power of the brand comes from. You know that it's still coming from Men's Health. You do know that. You know that it's still coming from City Press. You know exactly where your stuff is coming from. And when you want more information, you have to go, I want more, and then it will serve you more Men's Health. And it will be branded, so you can see it. So we can't be frightened as brands. We have to remember exactly what I said. Doesn't matter how they're interacting with our brands, we're evolving with them. So if we know that they're going to start editing their own information, let's give it to them, rather than them getting it from somewhere else. So it's a very exciting product that's launched.
We can get maybe full slides from William and them, so that when we go out, we can be able to just talk about it, because we're getting a few questions and then
Sure. And I think that there are great ideas from a revenue point of view. So, and it gives us more opportunities. I know, like on Fin Week, if we've now developed a special supplement for a client, which obviously it's aggregating content on a print point of view, then we are going to put that so we know that we can do a special on budgets that are coming up. That will be, we know that if anyone types in budgets, up's going to come the Fin Week stuff. We are the guys that are at the forefront of it. We're the specialists. So that's what's going to happen. We know that Men's Health is a specialist in exercise and muscle and sex and etc. So we know that you're going to get served content from there. But we mustn't be scared of it. I think gone are the days of us being scared. You've got to change that scared to excited. Yeah. Yes?
I guess my question was more towards Thandi, and then it was around the fact that it's an emerging title, so it's sort of targeted at the emerging market. However, for everything you've said, the space is going towards digital e-commerce. So how how do you ensure that in this market that is obviously quite digitally, not
Challenged.
challenged, they're quite challenged with money and everything else that's happening. So how do you ensure that they sort of stays relevant to them, even though it's digital and they're not there yet? So how do we ensure that to sort of,
I think
relevant?
one of the things that we understand as a publication is that our responsibility is to educate, entertain, and inform the reader. So move readers, because whatever that we say right now, it's like gospel truth to them. So we took a decision as a publication that we will walk this process, we'll introduce them to these platforms, and we'll teach them how to do it. If you open Move magazine right now, okay, let me just make a very good example. We launched a movie site on the 1st of September. We are now sitting on 88,000. What does that tell you? And all we did was we didn't go on radio, we didn't do anything, we just placed it on the magazine and we taught them that this is, you just go www.movemag.co.za and this is the kind of content that you will get. Now we are sitting on 80,000. I think for Drum as well, you guys launched and we are sitting on more than 100,000. KM is sitting on 220,000. Yes, they are still very slow in terms of other digital platforms. Like I have not seen, I think I've only seen 5 readers that have bought digital magazines. I might be wrong, but I think 5 or 10. We have not more than, we have 10. Others that have actually access to digital publications are those that are really, they understand where they're going and they're buying those bundles. So they buy True Love, Move, Grazia, and also those ones, I will not count them as, as readers. They are buying as our core readers. But we are teaching our readers that, there's more to life than this. It is our responsibility as readers. Over and above the fact that we are teaching them to go green, we have to teach them that there are digital platforms, because they are now depending on us to teach them that information. So we are taking them.
Yeah, but I think as emerging brands, what will happen is that what's awesome is that we've got the know-how for the brands that are moving quicker. So we'll, as a brand, will be ahead, right? But what will be beautiful is that we will move in the space as they move, as data becomes cheaper. So we'll know that okay, then that community has more access to data. Right, we need to introduce this. So it's going to be quite an organic process, although us knowing what's coming. We know that what's coming, but we're going to be quite organic in the process when it comes to the emerging brands.
But we don't have to force. The thing is now, you don't have to force the readers. Why should you actually break something? I mean, why should you actually fix something that is not broken? Nothing is broken now. They still love their magazines. They still love whatever that we put in the publication right now.
And we'll ride that way.
And so we ride that wave until we can't ride it anymore. And when they're on those platforms, and after, because we are teaching them and we're working with them, then we'll ride that wave of those platforms. So for us, we are expecting that we are going to be making money on Mobi. I think by the end of next year, we will, even though it will not be a lot of money, but we'll still make money on Mobi, because the readers are on Mobi platforms. But other digital, like e-commerce and other things that, I don't foresee it now. I don't, and we do not want to force readers, because the world is going there. And so because the world is going there, we must now push them to go there. They are not there yet. So why should we push them? We work with them, we teach them until they're ready.
I mean, I think the key learning for me, what you're saying, is that people sort of don't see them as like a techno-survey market, and they seem to be. And
they are. They are.
To digital. That's something that.
No, they are very, very. But really, if you have to read Move, like a digital edition of Move magazine, you actually have to own an iPad or a Samsung, a Galaxy or a Tab. And really, right now, how many of our market own that? Yes, they do have cell phones, they have BlackBerry and all of those things, but how many of them would actually take 10,000 rand to buy a Samsung Galaxy, or an iPad, only because they have to read the digital, they are not there yet, but they are going there. Right now, they are still seeing our publications as the platform for them to get information. And we go to advertisers and we say to advertisers, you want to speak to this market, speak to us, because we know. And I think it also poses the challenge for journalists right now, because you see a lot of journalists moving to the advertising world, because you have advertisers that do not know how to communicate with this reader. And now they come to us and they are trying, which is where Israel is coming. There's a department that Media 24 has set up that is called Content Solutions, that is headed by Israel. She is now we are going to see a lot more of her coming to our teams and speaking to our teams and saying, how do we then create content or create something that we can sell to an advertiser that is going to make money for Media 24. So, not all gloom and not all, it's just that now we have to constantly innovate and we have to think beyond our job descriptions and think that, your job description can change by next year, because the company is moving and the world is moving.
And then just a last note, I mean, something we always forget, South Africa is still a third world country. And I came across a stat the other day that said less than 65% of South Africans have smartphones. And I think as perception, we think there's obviously more people that are savvy, and it's not. I mean, we are third world, and that's something we need to take into consideration. Yeah.
Okay. Do you guys have any more questions? No. Okay.
Okay, enjoy lunch.
Thank you so much.